theory, modern country music here in the United States is ultimately for women. That is my theory. Your role in the comment section is to unpack that further. So here's my pitch on the concept that here in the United States, country music, modern country music that you hear on the radio now, is geared toward a female audience, not towards a male audience. I want to tell you what inspired this video today. Earlier this week, my wife and I were watching on Amazon Prime a stand-up comedian who I have always appreciated. His name is Chris Porter. So we had a new special out on Amazon and we watched it, and he talked about how specifically Luke Bryan is very bad at what he does as a country music singer. So my wife and I were talking about that actually today. We're going over that again, and she said, you know what? I didn't necessarily used to like Luke Bryan, but I've learned to appreciate him now. And to which I said, I can understand what the comedian was saying, but at the same time, if you're a musician who's that popular and successful, then by default, you, in theory, can't be bad at what you do. You can't be a bad artist or musician if you're one of the top selling acts for that genre, which Luke Bryan absolutely and undeniably is. So with that being said, my theory, as I explained to my wife, was, well, he probably caters a lot towards women, and his message, his music resonates with women. I don't know any guys who like Luke Bryan's music, but then again, I don't know any guys who regularly listen to country music that's new music. Now granted, I could think of some exceptions to some rules. Like, for example, Brothers Osborne. I imagine that they would be an act that men relate to. Chris Stapleton would be another example. There are exceptions, of course, but for the most part, I would speculate that most country music fans of modern music are female. Now granted, if you look at the old school stuff, more the George Strait stuff, Waylon Jennings, etc., old school, you're gonna find a male audience. Johnny Cash, specifically more of a male audience, just by default. The further you go back in time, the more classic country it is, you find a male audience. The more modern, you're gonna find a female audience. Now, why is that? Here's my theory. When you listen to the lyrics of most country songs that are new music, it reminds me more of like Boys to Men sort of concept. It's like, hey girl, you're looking good, let's get together. Like, that's the concept of most of the songs that come out. As far as it being deep and reflective about life, like country music should be, you have to go back in time. You have to go back to older country music to get more of that. Now there are, and I'm thinking the last newer country album that I've heard that really goes in that category, Dierks Bentley, Riser. I feel like that album is solid from a male perspective, as far as being deep and introspective. George Strait, Troubadour, that's come out a decade ago. But even his newer stuff, it still is that, it relates more to the overall theme and not so much like, hey girl, you're looking good, let's get together kind of thing. So that's my theory. I could be wrong, and let's assume I am. If I am, please tell me in the comments. Let's unpack this. I'm not saying that there's not guys who like new country music artists. I know that there by default are, but my theory is this. In general, most modern country acts that are playing on the radio, they largely have a female audience, because ultimately it's speaking a message that resonates to them. It's this boyfriend concept. It's, I want to date you, I love you, you're pretty, inside and out, etc. But as far as what old school country was about, in those older acts, and even the George Strait stuff, which had romantic concepts to it, but ultimately it wasn't so much, hey, I'm trying to get with you tonight kind of a thing. That's how I feel. Am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know. What is truth? You tell me right here in the comments.